What's up, guys? Mark back here with yet another video. Today I want to take a look at the Lumix G7. Now, I realize this camera's been out for a while. No one bashed me for that. I know that. I took all this footage several months ago when I had it in hand, but with the G85 coming out and the soon-to-be-released G85, I thought now would be a really great time for me to go ahead and put this review out there. So it is an SLR-style mirrorless camera, has a good resolution of 60 megapixels. It is a 4/3 sensor, CMOS. You've got some decent ISO performance on this particular Panasonic G7. You also get a fully articulated touchscreen with touch interface. The screen size is about 3 inches, and it does have a really nice display overall. It only goes up to about 1/4000th of a second, but most people are buying this for its video capabilities and not so much its photographic qualities. But I do really like the pictures that are coming out of this thus far. It does handle MPEG-4 and AVC HD, and it also takes SD, SDHC, and SDXC cards for those of you that need those higher speeds for video. So starting this whole thing off, let me just be the first one to say that this camera is not going to win any beauty contest. For all intents and purposes, this thing is ugly as sin. I mean, they're just not that pretty. DSLRs in general are very utilitarian. They're made to get shit done, and they're not meant to be beautiful pieces of machinery. And this thing is no exception. It's really not that nice. But it does have quite a bit of functionality built in. Not nearly as much as what we're going to get out of the G85 or the GH5, but it does still maintain a lot of what probably beginning videographers or vloggers are going to need/want out of a camera like this. Now, some of you are going to be like, but Mark, it feels so nice in the hands. And dude, I'm going to agree with you. It does have really nice ergonomics. Lot more so than the smaller Sony mirrorless cameras. That nice deep grip does feel very good in the hands. I cannot argue with that, and I refuse to try and like that that's not the case. It does have the articulating screen, which I totally love. It's got a nice bright viewfinder. It does have a mic in jack, so for you vloggers out there and stuff like that, you are going to be able to record some sort of secondary audio that doesn't require the onboard mics. It only has one SD card, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there's a lot of other things about this camera that kind of makes up for some of its shortcomings. But it doesn't have any sort of in-body image stabilization, so if you're going to want steadier shots, you have to buy lenses that have some sort of IABS kind of built in, some sort of lens stabilization. All that being said, this is still a very functional camera. So as far as kits are concerned, this thing is pretty complete. You get the camera with a body cap, you get the lens with the lens cap and a protective cover on the bottom. You also get a battery charger, a lens hood, a neck strap, and the charging cable. So just a quick word about the kit lens that comes in this kit. Now, it's not the best, it's not the sharpest, it doesn't have the most resolving power ever, but it is an impressive little lens. It's super duper light, it has a focal range of 14 to 42, it's not the fastest lens either, it is a variable aperture lens, but it is extremely small and lightweight. All things that I really, really enjoy. I think that some people are going to be pretty impressed with some of the images in the video that they can actually capture with this little kit lens. As far as the battery is concerned, it's the exact same kind of battery that came with your old GH4. So if you still have a GH4, you're going to be able to interchange those batteries, no problem. You're not going to have to get used to a new battery system. Probably one of the best selling features of this camera is its ridiculously low weight. It's only 410 grams, or a tenth less than a pound, so it's easy to travel with you anywhere you go. And as far as the knobs and wheels and buttons are concerned, you're getting pretty much everything that you would expect. You've got your mode dial, and you've also got your shooting dial on top, easy to access, really nice controls with the knurling on the side of the wheels, and you also have plenty of function buttons all over this camera. F1 and the record button is in a really nice place so that you don't have to move your finger too far away from the shutter button to get access. Easy to appreciate this camera when you've got plenty of buttons. All of your function buttons are here: F2, FN3, FN4, and FN5 over there on the left. And you've also got your multi-directional pad so that you can get in your menus, navigate that way. But with the touchscreen, I seriously don't think that you're going to really want to use that. But everything that you need is right here, easily accessible. Also, let's not forget that the articulating screen is also available on this camera, so if you do selfies or vlogs or any sort of weird angles, this is really going to help you out. On the left side of the camera, we do not have very much, but we do have a mic in port, which is extremely important for you guys that like to do video. So you can plug it right on up and hot shoe your mic on top. So if you have a Video Mic Pro or something of that nature, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So on the right side of the camera, you do in fact get an HDMI port. It is a micro HDMI type D, but you can also get clean HDMI out, I believe, in 1080p. And if you happen to be one of those people that still uses a pop-up flash, it's totally available on the Lumix G7. So while we start taking a look at these images, I'm going to give you my biased opinion. I honestly love the images that are coming from this camera and this kit lens. There's a certain quality about either the lenses or the sensor or some combination thereof. It just has a really nice color rendition. It has a really nice personality. It almost kind of makes me feel a little bit more cinematic. There's just a feeling about it. It doesn't look over-processed. Nothing looks like overly harsh, even though everything is razor sharp, where I want it to be razor sharp. But there is just this certain look to it, and I can see why people love Panasonic so much. It does have a very nice organic feel to it, in my opinion. The colors are rich and vibrant, and everything just seems to flow really well. Not to mention that the camera also has an extremely nice time-lapse function, which I think that some people are really going to find beneficial and useful. And I also know that a lot of people were wondering just exactly how close in size is the Panasonic G7 to the Sony a6300. And as you can see, there's really not that much difference. Obviously, it is a little bit bigger, it is a little bit bulkier front to back with that deeper grip, and obviously the sensor size on the Lumix G7 is a bit smaller from the APS-C size sensor on the a6300, but overall, very similar in size. Now, I've also been saying this for a very long time. I love touchscreens. I love articulating screens, and the G7 has both. And I've been begging Sony to put one in their new cameras, and we got sort of a half-assed attempt with the a6500. It really should have been something like this, a full touch interface where you can actually browse your camera, utilize your camera, touch buttons, change aperture, change your shutter speed. You can do everything right here from the screen. I love this feature. I don't know why more companies don't do this. This is the future. People are too used to reaching out and touching a screen. It is the way of the future. There's no getting around that. So anyone that doesn't implement this in their cameras in the future, I really do think they're going to get left behind.
I gotta be honest, the camera is extremely light, and I have it up on top of a pretty standard selfie stick. Nothing big, nothing beefy, nothing like that. I'm just sort of out here walking around my property and kind of giving a demonstration of like what the wobble effect would be, I suppose, and what the image quality is going to be like. Honestly, I've noticed that the auto-focusing system is nowhere near as good as, say, a Sony a6300, and that's probably to be expected. The Lumix G7 only has about 49 contrast detection points, whereas the Sony a6300 has about 425 phase detection points. The other system, the contrast, I believe is somewhere in the ballpark like 179 or something ridiculous like that. So it's just not even going to be in the same ballpark. I think with time, the G line of the Lumix cameras will continuously improve. But as of right now, as long as you're in a fairly controlled environment, you can pull some pretty good results from it. But don't expect just dead nuts lock on like the Sony a6300 at all. At any rate, I love the screen, the flip out and articulating screen. Just being able to make sure that you're in frame and that you're where you need to be, I suppose, it definitely helps. It is a huge help, and I've got the Rode Filmmaker kit sitting on top of the Lumix G7 right now. So overall, you could probably do this selfie stick thing for, I don't know, several minutes before your shoulder starts to scream at you. But overall, I think it's pretty decent. I'll let you guys be the judge for yourself.
So after doing a vlog test, 9 times out of 10, the first thing I want to do with my camera is see how well it performs in low light. So I went to this small little antique shop and I started taking shots of the different items that were in and around the store, and you know, it's not very well lit in there at all. And I'm gotta be honest, like, the camera holds up extremely well in really dim lit situations. It's not as bad as you would think for a micro four thirds sensor. So I don't think that people should be as worried about the sensor size anymore. ISO performance is getting much better almost across the board, so you're going to get some great shots. After that, I wanted to do a couple of video tests, so I went out to my local park and I started filming things around me. Everything that I want in focus is in focus, and there is not as wide of a dynamic range with this particular camera as, say, with the Sony a6300 or some more higher price cameras, but it's not bad. It's not like you're not going to get what you want, and the motion and the way the sensor processes that motion, it honestly looks really good in my opinion. As far as the colors and such go, they're very rich, very vibrant, they really pop, but you don't have to do that if you don't want. I mean, you can always tone it down, use a more neutral or flat picture style. I believe you can also buy Vlog for an extra $99 for this particular camera. But you do get a high enough bit rate at 100 megabits per second that you can do some pushing and pulling in post-production to get a more specialized look if you want. So I mean, if you're into that kind of thing. But honestly, the picture by itself, just straight out of the camera in its regular picture profiles, I mean, it looks really great. I think it's very true to life. I mean, I remember these things looking exactly the way they look right now. So I know that this is going to look a little bit extreme to some people, but this is one of the ways that I like to test autofocus. And with the subject moving back and forth, it really does push the camera's capabilities to see whether or not it can handle phasing, you know, forward and backward. This camera is not that great at that. And not to mention the autofocus is not as snappy as I'm used to. The Sony a6300 is so fast, so quick, and it locks on so tight that it really does make it hard to compare other cameras to it right now. So this is kind of generally what you might be able to expect with some fast-moving objects. It does try, it does make a good effort, but it's just not that fast. It doesn't mean that it's completely useless, it just means that it's not as good as some of the other cameras that are out there on the market. So if fast-moving subjects is kind of your thing, you might want to consider another camera. So overall, what do I think? Well, I gotta be honest, for its price point, it's kind of a no-brainer. Even if you don't do a lot of video and you really just want a really nice performing camera with a huge lens selection, anything that you could possibly want, you can choose from. If you're not looking to pay that Sony price tag and you don't want to fiddle around with always trying to find some way to adapt the lens or hope that some third party comes out with a lens that's in your focal range, this is a fantastic buy. The image quality, the image reproduction, the dynamic range is decent enough. The video capabilities are good enough for most people. You've got a lot of options here. The camera is extremely lightweight. It's not overly bulky or heavy or cumbersome. It just kind of gets out of the way. It's complicated enough for those of you that want to grow with the camera, but simple enough that most people can dive right into photography and take some amazing shots.